Hello everybody, welcome to our next lecture on graph algorithms. Till now, in the previous lecture, we have done algorithms for finding shortest path in a graph. And the algorithms typically were for a given source and a given goal node, we are to find the shortest path in the graph from source to goal. Today's topic is to find the shortest path amongst all pairs of nodes in the graph. The various approaches to the shortest path problem for all pairs of nodes in the graph depend on the properties of the graph. Before that, let us go to the problem definition. The problem definition is as follows. The problem definition says that given a weighted directed graph G equal to V vertices and E edges, find the shortest cost path between all pairs of vertices in the graph. And the cost of the path is defined by the sum of the edge costs on the path. Now we look at four different cases. The first case is the directed acyclic graphs or DAGs. And in the previous lecture, we discussed a depth first algorithm for single source shortest cost path for DAGs. And we shall see how we will adapt that algorithm to find the all pair shortest path. The second is for graphs with positive edge costs. Like this graph in this figure. In this figure 1, you notice that there are cycles in the graph like this, but all edge costs are positive. And for this, we already developed a best first search algorithm, which we saw the other day, which was an adaptation of the breadth first search algorithm, which is also famously known as the Dijkstra's shortest cost path algorithm. And we shall see how we adapt that algorithm to find first the shortest cost path from a source node to all nodes and then iterate across all nodes. The third case, where we may have negative edges in the graph, like in this graph, here is a negative edge, here is a negative edge. So we may have negative cost edges in the graph, but there are no negative cycles. We have discussed the previous day that if there are negative cycles in the graph, then obviously no solution exists, because that negative cycle will go on reducing the cost. And here we discuss two types of algorithms. One is a matrix multiplication based algorithm, and second is a very famous algorithm called the Floyd-Warshall algorithm. The matrix multiplication based algorithm may also help in detection of negative cycles. But if there are negative edge costs as well as negative edge cycles, then there is another algorithm which we shall discuss called the Bellman-Ford algorithm, which will detect the case of a negative cycle. And if there is no such negative cycle, then it will return the shortest cost path. And how do we adapt that? So we will look at all the four cases and then develop our algorithm in this lecture. The first algorithm that we come to is the directed acyclic graphs. As you can see in this figure 1, this is a directed acyclic graph. And in the last lecture, this is the algorithm that we did to find the shortest cost path from this node A, which was S, to G to I, which was the goal. And we saw that we did a depth first search algorithm, and the algorithm, as before in any depth first search, had a visited array which marked any node which was visited by the depth first search algorithm. It had a cost array where it marked the cost of the node from node I to the node goal, which was initially set to infinity for all nodes. And then it had the successor function as usual. And if we quickly revise that algorithm, what we did was we marked the node visited, If the node was gold node, then we defined its cost to be 0, like in this case, and we returned. Otherwise, for every successor, if it was not already visited, then we did a visiting to that node. And then after returning from every node that is visited, every successor, we computed the minimum value of the cost of the successor node and the cost of the edge from that node. So for every successor n, we computed the cost of the successor and the edge cost from this node to the successors, and whatever was the minimum, that was said to be the cost of this node. Now, what do we do if we have to adapt it for all pairs shortest path? What we will do in order to adapt it for all pairs shortest path, we will make some very simple changes. For every node, now we define an array cost ij. This is the global array we define, which is the cost of shortest path from I to j. Here we initialize everybody to infinity if I not equal to j, and equal to 0 if I is equal to j. That means for I equal to j, we set it to be 0. Otherwise, for I not equal to j, we initialize. This is the initialization. So this is the initialization that we do. Then, in order to compute for every node, that means let us take this node. When we are computing for this node, now this node in its cost array for this node will have the shortest cost path from every other node. Similarly, this will have the shortest cost path from every other node in the cost array. So this will be cost of h, j, this will be cost of d, j, and so forth. Then this node will first recursively call these nodes as before, but from these which are obtained from these nodes will now create the cost vector for node C to all other nodes. That is all it will do. And it will use the same algorithm technique that it did to find the cost to the goal G. Now it is extended to find the cost to every other node. So what it will do is, it will, instead of a single value, it will now maintain a value array. And it will set this value array to infinity. And this part, visited node 1 is okay. If node equal to G, return, this is not required anymore. This part is not required anymore, except the only thing that is required is that the value to its own self, so the value to its own self is equal to 0, because the value to a node for itself is equal to 0. Otherwise, it will visit a node, and when it returns from this part, it will compute value I, value n here, in the same manner as before, is equal to minimum of value n, comma, cost of node, this node n. Now that we have a two-dimensional cost array, it will find the cost of from this node, from n to all other nodes j plus the cost of the node to n. This way it will find the value of node j for every j. So let me just clarify this a bit. So what it will do is, it will find the value of node j for every j, and this value of node j Once it is found for every j, it will then update cost node j is equal to value j at this point in time. And then, so this cost is now a two-dimensional cost. So this cost is a global value that will be obtained and returned. So a very simple change has been made in modifying the shortest cost path algorithm for graph, where instead of finding the shortest cost to a single node, we adapt the algorithm and make it the shortest cost path for all other nodes. The original algorithm was order v into v plus e. Now this algorithm will be v into whatever was the original algorithm, v plus e. This will not work which have cycles, obviously, because this is an acyclic graph. It will still work for negative edge cost weights, and we had given this as an exercise. Now we have understood how to work on this algorithm, and therefore we now have our shortest cost, all pair shortest cost path algorithm for directed acyclic graphs. We come to the second case where, as in this figure, all the edge costs are positive, though the graph may have cycles. Let us go back to our best first algorithm, which we had done in the other day, which I have reproduced here. You remember what we were doing was that the cost S was the cost from the start node S to a goal node J. And we maintained an ordered queue which was ordered by these cost values. We removed the minimum node from the ordered queue, declared it visited, and then if J was goal, we terminated, and then for every node we did this very famous step which we called the cost revise step. We said that if we come to this node now with a cost which is smaller, that means if the original cost of the node successor k is now greater than the new cost through which you come, you update and revise that cost and reinsert into the queue or insert into the queue. If the node is open, new, we insert into the queue. If the node is an existing node in the open list or in the ORQ list, we then just retain it but reorder it because the cost has changed. We did a detailed example of this execution and we saw the sequence of nodes that were removed. We also saw a very interesting property. We said, and this is a very important property that we will use, that whenever a node is removed from ORQ, the best cost path to that node has been obtained. This is a fundamental result. This result is there because we have used positive edge costs, and because of this result, we are now sure that this algorithm, if it is allowed to continue even though the goal node is reached, it will eventually make the ORQ queue empty, but it will find the shortest cost path to every node. Like in this case, in this example itself, it actually, the node 6, which was the goal node, was the last node removed. And one by one, each node 1, 4, 2, 3, 5, 7 and then 6. Therefore, for all the 7 nodes, we have the shortest cost path to that node. Therefore, the simple change we need to make to continue the algorithm. So we remove this step in the algorithm and we remove this step in the algorithm. If we remove these two steps, then this best first search algorithm, given a single start node, will find the shortest cost path from that node to all other nodes in the same complexity. Now we have to find shortest cost path from every start node. That means we can run the algorithm again for every start node, and therefore this algorithm will now become, instead of being an order E log V algorithm, we will now get an order V into an E log V algorithm. So now we get an order V into E log V algorithm by a very simple, two simple modifications. Because of the unique property, we remove these two steps and then we run it for every start node. So modifying the best first search algorithm for positive edge costs also gives us a new algorithm for all pair shortest path. Now let us assume that there are negative edges in the graph and there could be negative cycles in the graph. So how do we improve or get the Dijkstra's algorithm or the best first algorithm to take into account that there could be negative edges and there could be negative cycles? For that, we will again go back to this famous cost revision step. The Bellman-Ford algorithm uses the same idea. All that it does is that it moves in through a series of n-1 iterations, where n is the number of vertices in the graph. So if v is the number of vertices in the graph, it goes through a loop which is of n-1 iterations. And in every iteration, it does this cost revision step. What does it do? It checks, given a node and given an edge between these two nodes. Suppose this is the node K and this is the node N, and this is the edge cost Nk. It checks whether the cost of K is greater than the cost of N plus this edge cost. If the cost of K is greater than the cost of N plus this edge cost, which means that there is a better path up to K through N, it updates this cost and revises who the parent is. So in every iteration, for every edge, it does this cost revision step as marked here, and it runs for n iterations. The idea is that in every iteration, it will check whether a path in iteration 1, it will check whether a path of length 1 is there. In iteration 2, it will be able to check paths of up to length 2. In iteration 3, up to length 3, and so on and so forth. And at the most, up to n-1, the path length, the maximum path length between any two nodes can be of length v-1. So we run it for v-1 iterations. By this, if at the end of this we come to any edge where this property still remains, it means that definitely there is a negative edge, negative cost cycle, because the negative cost cycle is the only way in which you can get a path length of length more than v-1 for which there is going to be a cost reduction. So this simple algorithm, and let us see how this algorithm works. This is the original graph, let us say. So this original graph, in this graph, what we have done, as we said, that initially all the costs of the paths are set to be infinity. Here, 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 here. And then since we have started with node S, because this starts with a single node, we set the cost of S to be 0. And then we go through rounds of iteration. Let us do that in this figure. Let us look at this. From 1 to 3, there is an edge. 3 is, the cost of 2 is infinity. The cost of 1 is 0. So 0 plus 3 as is here. So this cost will become 3. Next, let us look at this edge. This edge. So we have done this edge. Now we have done doing this edge. So this is 0. This is 8. This was infinity, so this becomes 8. Next we do this edge. This is minus 4. This was originally infinity, so this becomes minus 4. Then we have covered all edges from here. Now we do this edge from 2 to 5. Now from 2 to 5 this edge cost is already 4 by this iteration. Therefore 3 plus 7 is 10. So this cost does not change for node 5. It remains minus 4. Let us look at this edge now. For this edge, let us see what is going to happen. For this edge, what we are going to do is this cost is infinity. This cost has become 3. Node 2 cost is 3. Node 4 cost is infinity. And the edge cost from 2 to 4 is 1. So 3 plus 1, this cost will become 4. Next, let us say we come to this edge. We know that the edge 5 to 4, the cost of node 5 is now 4. The edge cost is now 6. The cost of node 5 is minus 4, The edge cost is 6. Therefore, the path from this to this brings a new cost of 2. The existing cost is 4, so this cost will be adapted to become 2. Next, if we come to this edge, now we know that the cost of node 4 is 2, the edge cost is 5, this is already 8, so this will now get changed to minus 3. This way, we have covered all the edges except this one. So now from 3 to 2, 3 is of cost minus 3 and this is of cost 4. Therefore, this is 4 and this is minus 3. Therefore, this cost becomes 1. So by doing these steps, we see that we have got, this was 0. If you look at this figure, you will notice that we have got this cost to be 0, this cost to be 1, this cost to be minus 3, this cost to be 2, and this cost to be minus 4. So by this iteration, we have come to this cost change. And if we go through more iterations, we will see that there is no further change. Therefore, this algorithm, given a start node, will find the shortest cost path from that start node to every other node, irrespective of whether there are negative edges or negative cost cycles. As I said again, just to repeat, if there are negative cost cycles, then obviously it will continue to detect a reduction in cost, and we will say that this is there is a negative cost cycle, and therefore we are not going to find the algorithm. The cost of this given a start node to all other nodes is of cost E into V, because we are doing an iteration over V nodes, and in each iteration we are checking every edge once. And if we are to repeat it for all pairs, then we will get an order E into V squared. This will become an algorithm which will become order E into V squared. So it will become, and this is wrong, so it will become order of V, because we have to do it for every node, into E into V, which is which is the same. I'm sorry, let me just do a little bit of undo. Yeah, so it'll just multiply these two things once more, and therefore we will get an order E into V squared. And since E can be of at most V squared, then the worst case complexity of this algorithm is obviously order V to the power 4, but E is not necessarily always V squared. So it is better to write that this is an order, the E into V algorithm multiplied by V gives an order E into V squared algorithm. Now we come to cases where we want to improve this algorithm from an order E into V squared to anything better that we can do. So we now look at algorithms which are based on what is called matrix multiplication. We again approach this from our recursive definition point of view. So what we say is that Dijk or let us say Dijp is equal to cost is equal to cost of shortest cost path from I to j of length at most p. This is the definition of Dijp. It is the cost of the shortest cost path from I to j of length at most p. And in order to do that, we use a recursive definition which says that Dij0, a shortest cost path of length no length, is 0 if I is equal to j and is infinity if I is not equal to j. Otherwise, our algorithm proceeds like this. Our algorithm says that the shortest cost path from di to j of length at most k is the minimum of the shortest cost path from I to j of length at most k minus 1, or among all possible paths of length k. That means that there could be a path of length at most k minus 1 to a node m, and from m to j. So we add these two for all m and find the minimum of that and take the minimum with this. Obviously we are going to get a shortest cost path of length at most k. Now if you look at this very carefully, since we know that Dijk minus 1 plus Cii is the same as Dii k minus 1, therefore this part, and because this part is 0, so this, if we add a 0 to Djj from here, so if Dij k minus 1 plus Djj, if we do, then that is the same as Dijk. Therefore, we don't need this term, and this will reduce to the same as this term because Cjj is equal to 0. We do this for all m in V. This is V for all m in V. So the final solution is that it could be a path of length at most n minus 1, where n is the number of vertices in the graph. So if we find this, we will get the answer to the all pair shortest path. So we have now got a recursive definition based on the concept of Dijp or Dijk, which is the cost of the shortest cost path from I to j of length at most k. Now once we look at this definition, we see that if we open up the recursion, this is like a very standard dynamic programming problem where there will be multiple subproblems, identical subproblems, and therefore the recursive definition will lead us to a very classical dynamic programming strategy. And we have discussed how to convert a recursive definition to a dynamic programming strategy. And all we need to do is declare two arrays, one a two-dimension array for Dijk and another two-dimension array for Dijk minus 1, because it is from k minus 1 we will be able to get k, and already we have the Cij array available to us globally. So we will again do the recursive definition in two phases. One is the top-down recursive definition, the other is the bottom-up iterative scheme. the top-down recursive definition. For that, all we have to do is we have to remember whether a particular d, I, j, k value is already done or not. So whether it is done, and we used to mark it with, if it is done, we mark it with 1, and if it is not yet done or it is not yet visited, we used to mark it with -1. And then we will run this recursive algorithm. We will check if it is not done, we will call it recursively. If it is done, we will just retrieve the value. And I leave it to you to simply do this because we have done many such cases before. Coming to the iterative algorithm, we have again seen how to do the iterative algorithm. And this iterative algorithm, as you can see, has got one loop which will do I and j. It has got one outer loop for k, because k will be from 1 to v minus 1. One loop will be this, one loop will be for all ij, and one loop will be to find the minimum for all m element of v. So we will have one outer loop to do for all the iterations from k equal to 1 to the number of vertices minus 1. We will have two inner loops to do I and j for dij, k, and in that loop we have to find out the minimum. So we will do this, and I leave it. It's a very straightforward algorithm to write, and therefore because we have got 4 loops of size v, therefore the order and complexity of this algorithm is order v to the power 4, both for this scheme as well as this scheme. We now look at an example of how this algorithm, which is a matrix multiplication based order v4 algorithm, works. So as per our definition, dij0 is this array which is infinity for all ones except the diagonal elements. D1, obviously, by this definition, as you can see, will be 0 for all the diagonal elements, otherwise it will be all the edge cost. For example, 1 to 2 is 3, and so on and so forth. So this is all the edge costs. Let us see how D2 is defined, and for that let us try to compute the value of this variable, this element. So this element is D2, 1, 2. This 2, 1, 2 is computed from the minimum of these 5 elements, which will be D2, 1, 1 plus C1, 1, D2, 2, 1 plus C2, 1 plus D2, 3, 1 plus C3, 1, D2, 4, 1 plus C4, 1 and D2, 5, 1 plus C5, 1. Now let us see what values we get. D211, this value is obtained from here, which is infinity. Therefore, this value will give us infinity. D221, 221 is this value, which is 0. And C21, C21 is this value, which is infinity. So this will also give me infinity. Let us see what D231 is. D231 is this value, which is 0. And C31 3, 1 is this value, which is infinity. So this will also give me infinity. Let us look at what D2, 4, 1 is. D2, 4, 1. So 2, 4 is this value, 1. I get 1 from here. And C4, 1. C4, 1 is this value. I get 2 here. So this gives me a value 3. Similarly, D2, 5, 1. C2, 5, 1 is 7. And C5, 1. C5, 1. C5, 1 is infinity. So this also gives me infinity. So the minimum among all these values is 3. And as you can see, 3 has been filled up here. So this is how we calculate D2. Similarly, we will see that this is how we calculate D3 and D4. And when we reach D4, that means when we reach the 4th iteration, we are supposed to get our solution. But you can also get the solution earlier if you see that there is no change between 2 iterations. For example, if you see between D3 and D4, there is no change. Since there is no change between 2 iterations, you can always determine that you can stop there. Because if there is no change between 2 iterations, the next iteration will remain the same. Which means that though we are looking for the shortest cost path of length at most n minus 1, where n is the number of vertices in the graph, the algorithm could terminate earlier. If you want to detect whether there is detection of a negative cost cycle, leave it to you to think about it. The only thing is, if you continue to run 1 or 2 more iterations beyond D4 and the value changes, then you can easily say that there is a possibility of a negative cost cycle. Now this algorithm, as we said, was taking order n to the v to the power 4 time. Can we improve the algorithm? So we come to an improvement. Till now, what we had done is, we had said that there is a path of length at most k minus 1 and there is an edge cost, and among these we tried to find out. So if this was I, this was j, and this was m, then we tried to find out whether there is a cost of length at most k minus 1 from I to m and an edge c from edge e from m to j, and we were finding whether we can update the cost. What we can now do is something even more interesting. What we can do is, we can, instead of doing it over from 1, 2, 3, 4, we say from I, if there is a path of length k from I to j, then there will, if this is a path of length k from I to j, then there will be a path of length k by 2 and a path of length k by 2 from m. So a path of length at most k will have half path lengths at least from both sides. So a path of length at most k will have a path of length at most k by 2 from up to m and another path of length at most k by 2 from m to j. By doing this, we can reduce the number of iterations, and therefore while the base conditions remains the same, the recursive condition says that given a path of length k and another path of length k, we can determine a path length of 2k. This gives us a very increased advantage, because in the number of iterations that we had to do in the outermost loop was from I equal to 1 to v. Now if we are doubling every step, we need not do up to I to v. So the outer loop that we have, it will now be from I equal to 1 and to only log of the number of steps. The rest for k equal to 1 to the log of the number of steps. because in every iteration we are going to just double the number of steps. So by this we will be able to improve a v to the power 4 algorithm to an algorithm which is order v cubed log 4. The top down recursive algorithm remains the similar, just only thing we have to do is use this recursion, the same memoization of two-dimensional arrays of size n by n, and all we have to do, we will get an improvement of the algorithm at least from one order of complexity, from v power 4 to v cubed log v. So by this we get an improvement of the algorithm. And how does the algorithm work now? Now instead of Cij0 we start with 1, which is either the edge cost or 0 for the diagonals and edge cost for otherwise, which is d1. Now from d1 by this we get d2, from d2 by this we get d4, and therefore next, if there were more vertices, next time we would have got d16, next time we would have got d256, and so on and so forth, which means that the number of outer loops drastically reduces. So this improved matrix multiplication algorithm is a very interesting improvement. It, as we said, it will also work for negative cost cycles if you are able to adapt it. I have given it to you as an exercise, but definitely it will work for negative cost edges. And it is a fast, clean, and a very simple algorithm. To one small thing that we had said here, where we had said that this is actually 2k from k. So this part which I had mentioned is a little incorrect. We will do d1, then we'll do d2, then obviously we'll do d4, then we'll do d2k, so we'll do d8, then we'll do d16, and so it is going by jumps of 2, order 2. So instead of this, so what we are trying to do is every time we get k, we multiply by 2, and therefore in log v steps we will reach n vertices, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so on and so forth. So this is a small correction that I wanted to execute. Finally, we come to another very unique algorithm, a very popular and very unique algorithm called the Floyd-Warshall algorithm. Unlike in the previous case, where we were trying to find the shortest cost path of length at most k, the Floyd-Warshall algorithm does a very interesting change. It orders the vertices v from 1, 2, 3 up to n. And then it defines f I j k is equal to the cost of shortest cost path from I to j through nodes 1 to k. So instead of paths being of length at most k, it defines the subset of nodes through which it will try to find the path. Therefore, what it says is that while the base condition remains the same, the direct shortest path through no nodes is either 0 if I equal to j, or the edge cost if there is no other node through which it goes. Then it defines Fijk to be the shortest cost path from I to j through k. So this is from I to j through k. Sorry, this will be I to k. This will be I to k. There is a typo in the definition. So shortest cost from I to k through nodes 1 to k minus 1, and the shortest cost path from k to j through nodes 1 to k minus 1. So it makes a simple change saying that the shortest cost path Fijk from I to j through nodes I to k is the shortest cost path from I to k through nodes, I am very sorry, this remains. There are two parts to it, let me rewrite it. Shortest cost path from I to j through 1 to k is equal to either the shortest cost path from I to j through 1 to k minus 1 or the shortest cost path, as I said, this one, from I to k through k minus 1 plus the shortest cost path from k to j through k minus 1. Out of these two, whichever is the minimum of these two, so it takes the minimum of these two. So it has already found the shortest cost path from I to j through k1 to k minus 1, and now it finds the shortest cost path from I to j through k. Out of these two, whichever is the smaller is chosen as the shortest cost path from I to j through nodes 1 to k. A very unique algorithm. This avoids computation of the innermost minimum loop that the matrix multiplication had, which means that now I have got only 3 loops, the outer loop of 1 to n, the other 2 loops of I and j, and the innermost loop is just a simple constant computation. And therefore it leads to an order v cubed algorithm. I leave it because from this definition the dynamic programming algorithm is obvious. Therefore we can, as based on our strategy, again keep a done array, and using that done array we are able to get both a top-down recursive algorithm and otherwise we are getting a 3 loops order v cubed algorithm. So the Floyd-Warshall algorithm, though it does not detect negative cost cycles, it works for negative edge costs, and for negative edge costs it gives us a very powerful, simple, about less than a few lines of an iterative code to give a very strong order v cubed algorithm. Example of the Floyd-Warshall algorithm. And in the Floyd-Warshall algorithm we know that as a basis what we had was, the basis was this Fij0 was 0 on the diagonals and the cost of the direct edges was otherwise. So what is F1? F1 is all the costs that are from I to j through node 1. That is, we again remember Fijk is the cost of the minimum cost path. So as a summary, we have done for the acyclic directed graphs, we did a recursive DFS. We modified the original algorithm to get a v squared plus v into e. That means we had to do an outer loop for every node. For Dijkstra's algorithm, we continued the single source to all other goals and then iterated over every node. Then we did a matrix multiplication algorithm, which was trying to find paths of length at most k. Then we did the unique Floyd-Warshall algorithm, which tried to find the shortest path from I to j through nodes 1 to k. And earlier than that, we did an adaptation of the cost revision technique and got the Bellman-Ford algorithm, which also works for negative cycles. By this, we have various algorithms for finding all pair shortest cost paths, and I think this completes our 2 sets of lectures on shortest cost path in a graph. There are other algorithms which work for sparse graphs, which have few edges, etc., etc. But I think these fundamentally 5 algorithms that we have discussed today are going to be most important, and I would request you to revise these algorithms and have a look at the exact code for each of these algorithms. Thank you very much.